Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 3 of the anime series Rage of Bahamut Virgin Soul. And this episode kicked all kinds of ass. I loved all of the expositionary stuff. I loved being revealed to the fact that the Heavenly Realm is still in existence. The Archangel Gabriel issuing a mission statement to find this lost child. They don't know whether he's living or dead. Mugato, with the two different colored eyes and these powers and abilities that I think they seek in the hopes of, reinvigorating the supremacy of the Heavenly Realm over humanity. As we'd seen in the first episode, sort of the precursor, the prologue, if you will, humanity had enslaved and conquered, all but conquered, the Heavenly Realms and taken down the gods. But we know that with Bacchus and his little duck sidekick, who is not a duck but a god, that there are still godly beings in existence, and the Heavenly Realm is desperately seeking Mugato, this boy, for those powers and abilities. And it was just, I was gobsmacked. I was awestruck by that. And of course, not least of which because Favreau gets a mention. He may not be in the OP, he may not be in the ending, he may not even be in this anime, but he gets a mention as the teacher of Nina, basically being sort of the pedagogue to her becoming very much a bounty hunter, which is all but pointless, because even Bacchus mentions the fact that with the way Charios is running things, they pretty much only have the rag demon left as a bounty they can go after. And this guy has completely clasped down on crime, criminality, all this stuff, and he's enslaved demonkind. As we know, he is a pompous, psychopath, megalomaniacal asshole. And just to prove that point, do we see him in this episode being so consumed with the rag demon and so disappointed that twice over he has escaped. He escaped the Orleans Knights as, basically led by Kaiser. He has escaped the Onyx soldiers. And of course, the big red dragon that started tearing ass through town that came out of nowhere, nobody expected. They immediately pinpoint being associated with the rag demon and everything. So Azazel is kind of pitched in the worst position possible. I really truly feel for him and what he is doing. I just kind of wish he would dial back the lethality with which he is conducting himself and trying to prove that point. Which, that's another aspect that's really interesting. I had put forth the speculation looking at the ending animation that kind of looks like a side-scroller video game, that the last character Nina approaches in that ending, could that actually be Favreau? I was speculating that maybe he would show up at some point. Rather, are we actually introduced to that character? I don't know exactly who he is. He's kind of got like a turban on his head with white and red. I thought the red was subsequently Favreau's afro-like hair coming through in the little character, little chibi game-like character in the ending. But lo and behold, it's somebody else entirely, and damned if he doesn't look like Charios. And then we find out when, Nina and Bacchus, they're overseeing this whole situation where they're arm wrestling people, or rather, the duck sidekick, the little godly duck, whose name still escapes me to this day. I gotta look it up at some point. But, Nina is just knocking these guys out one after the other. They can't even budge her arm with her massive dragon-like strength and everything. And lo and behold, here comes this guy, and he proffers, rather than the 100 rupees or whatever it is fee, he proffers a ring that later they realize it has the royal emblem in it. So I'm guessing one of two things. One, the least likely of which being maybe this is Charios himself. Maybe he's slumming it. Maybe he's trying to think outside the box and gather information from outside of his kingly realm and everything like that. Or the more likely, this might in fact be Charios's twin brother or something. They look so similar, and it just would make a lot of sense with how hardened and how big of an asshole, how big of a prick Charios is, that maybe he cast out his younger brother or elder brother or whatever, maybe even tried to have him killed. Maybe this brother's struck out on his own, of his own accord. Whatever it is, to have a royal emblem ring, it speaks to me this might be hinting toward the end game. It might be tipping the hat that it will be brother against brother. Maybe it's a long-standing fight. Maybe it's one that will only come about because of the ramifications of what's going on in the series. Humankind versus demons and everything like that. I am already sensing maybe he is just a bit more sympathetic, whomever he is. Maybe he's not even related to Charios in any sort of stretch of the imagination. The fact that he can stand toe-to-toe with Nina with her strength and actually put up a pretty aggressive fight in the arm wrestling does speak to his being somewhat unnatural. He's not, all out and out human. There's something more going on there. And it begs the question, could the same be said for Cherios? Could it be that these are fallen gods or something like that took human guys and are trying to, rule over all or something like that? What is the lineage of this family if this mystery character is in fact related to Cherios? Is he or isn't he? Remains the question. But those were the two cheap speculations I had because they looked so similar, but we don't really know much about Cherios beyond the fact that he is a pompous ass, that he is megalomaniacal, that he is willing to slaughter, line up and slaughter like something out of Nazi Germany, all of these demons just to call out the rag demon, just to face this foe that he is so tantalized by and so obsessed with. He is disgusting and despicable, and unfortunately, Azazel being the nature of his character, he is going to be immediately duped by that. He's going to fall right into that trap, and he does so willingly and excitedly because he wants right at Cherios. And I loved seeing Kaiser, seeking out Rita, trying to figure out how to get a communique to Azazel to warn him. You are walking into a trap for all intents and purposes, and this comes right on the coattails of the reveal that Favreau was Nina's teacher, and she wants to learn more about her master and everything like that. And Rita's like, well, I don't really know much about Afro. We traveled a little bit, but there is somebody you might be able to talk to. And here comes, Kaiser right there minutes later with this word of warning. But I love how everything coincided at that point. And then, of course, Nina, without even thinking, without even giving it a second thought, immediately uses her fast-paced running ability to try to catch up with Azazel in the hopes of saving him. And I was just goosebumps. I was excited. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Just this, I love this series. I love it. I loved the original. As I said, I covered it in episodic review coverage and loved discussing it every week. Had great conversations with every single episode of the first season. And so far, this season has not disappointed in any way, shape, or form. From the angelic presence offering Bacchus a foothold back into heaven, if they can find this little boy Mugato, wondering what the powers and abilities of this child, what the lengths to which they are, that they will go. Because I believe personally, the powers we saw him saving, Azazel in the previous episode, the powers he was utilizing to do that, I believe personally this is only one minor aspect of what he is actually capable of. And there's got to be so much more to it if the heavenly realm is actually willing to take Bacchus back in and sort of schmooze him to that effect. We want the boy. We need the boy. You have a place back in heaven if you get him to us, if you find him and all this stuff. And of course, the relationship going on between Azazel and Mugato, he's very protective of this child, but so much so that he would actually, Azazel is not just flying by the seat of his pants all told. He is actually cognizant of the fact that, well, I might not come back from this pitched battle with, Cherios, and if for whatever reason that happens, he's warning Mugato, do not enter that fray, do not follow after me, do not get anywhere near Cherios or his people or anything like that. If I don't return, seek out Rita, look for help there. And so obviously he is a very compassionate individual. It's not just murder and mayhem on his mind. That's what, he is conducting somewhat villainous actions, but for a greater purpose, a grander design. And so you have to feel for him. It's like, I want to smack him upside the head. Do this in a better way. Your message ain't getting across. It's just making things worse. That's very much how Kaiser feels about it. But again, the honorability in Kaiser showing itself once again as it had all through the first season, because he wants to go to the nth degree to try to save Azazel. He feels for Azazel, even amidst their not quite getting along and everything like that. He still wants to set about for a more righteous path between them. And again, Nina she floors me with all of the way they animate her, all of her movements and reactions. The reactions, especially when she mentions Favreau was her teacher and Bacchus spits up and everyone goes wide-eyed. And then when she realizes, oh crap, Kaiser's the guy I actually hit upside the head with the bell that my whip was caught on. I'm dying. Anytime Nina is on the screen, anytime she's doing anything, I'm just laughing my ass off and or smiling. And so, yeah, I mean, we are now pitched to see what kind of fallout is going to happen. I mean, everyone's talking about it's going to be war. That might be what's brought about. I mean, this is called Rage of Bahamut. You know, the first season was Rage of Bahamut Genesis, and we saw Bahamut eventually being brought back into the living world to wreak havoc. And it was just by the skin of their teeth that they managed to quell that all over again. So if you're calling this Rage of Bahamut, I have to assume Bahamut could get awakened at some point. You know, maybe there will be a fallout between humanity and the heavenly and demonly realms, and this will reawaken Bahamut with that purpose of dismantling all, you know, or perhaps we'll find that Nina is somehow a Bahamut spawn, and her dragon form is really the one to be worried about by the end, the Rage of Bahamut. But yeah, I cannot wait to see what the next step is as soon as we get to the next episode, which it'll be a week-long wait for, and it's just, I'll be waiting with bated breath. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 3 of Rage of Bahamut Virgin Soul as well, if you've seen it, and, you know, I just thought it was gangbusters. I enjoyed every dripping minute of it. I'd be very surprised if that wasn't the same for you, but love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Our POVs can certainly disagree as long as we stay amicable and respectable about it. Say anything you like. And so yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you all later. Peace.